Good morning and welcome to another 30 Minutes with Jan. We are live from Welcome Bay in Tauranga. My name is Viljoen and I'm a financial advisor. I help people with insurance such as life cover, disability, as well as vehicle insurance. All our clients receive free wills from us. Our guest this morning is Venita Herbens. Venita has many years' experience in immigration and is helping people immigrating to New Zealand as well as Australia. Good morning, Venita.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me.
It's a sad morning this morning.
You know what, Jan? There's been so many changes on the New Zealand front. It's just one of those things, I suppose, just need to be prepared for. That's the only thing.
I want to say this morning, I am not an immigration advisor, and I'm glad I am not. The stuff is changing at a hectic pace.
I tell you, I think we're on Amendment Circular 40-something. I can't keep track of it. And that's pretty much like, since I suppose COVID and all the changes that have come through, like we've pretty much got to look at those amendment circulars rather than the ops manual, because that's sort of overwritten that.
Okay.
To keep up to date with what the changes are, what little words have changed and so on, and how they're assessing everything. So it's actually become really, really tough. And I think the general feeling in the advisor community is we're tired, we're exhausted. And I'll make a disclaimer right now that some of these things are my opinion, and just from what I've seen, what is coming or what we feel is coming, So that's a disclaimer I'm going to make. So just remember, some of the things have not been announced with immigration as we talk through, and have a candid conversation about it.
Right.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts for the future? I mean,
look, I think 2021 is also going to be a tough year for a lot of migrants in New Zealand. I suppose I know that there's a lot of questions going, when are they going to start processing offshore? When can we come in? When can we come visit? When can we look for jobs and so on? I don't think you'd be able to do that in 2021. Yeah, right now, if you, and I will share this with you so you can put this on, and I'll share the stats with you. You look at our no statistician, so I will give that to you so people can see what the numbers are with residents, what the numbers are with work visas, the comings and goings and so on, and the decline rates and so on. So I'll share that with you. This used to be on the immigration website, but they don't have it anymore, but I'll put the source in there as well for you. So right now, immigration, are only processing onshore, and obviously offshore is only those critical purpose visitor visas for those coming in, and obviously getting those exemptions to come through. So they've been, very selective about who they're bringing through. Just with regards to, I think some people have maybe asked questions about students and international students coming in. South Africans maybe not looking at that so much because we know those fees are astronomical. But last week we had a webinar with immigration, and they have said that they're working with the various cohorts in New Zealand, and that those are the education sectors. And they're slowly bringing in, like for instance, now it's the PhD and the postgraduate students coming in, and that's about 250. But they're working with them slowly to bring that market in. But that market right now with the international students have pretty much died because they rely on income and so on. So we're waiting, for them to announce, okay, which lot of students can come in. They'll have to quarantine, follow the rules and so on, and then go from there. So
you think that's going to happen before Christmas?
Well, with the 250 PhD and postgraduate students, that's happening in November. Okay. We don't know about the rest because I think they're in consultation with all the various institutes as to how they're going to do that. I'm not too sure with the rest of it and what's going to follow. But I think the private institutes like the PTEs, they are the bottom of the list. So think of the universities at the top end first. Okay. Yeah.
What about spouses still out there? How many of them are getting in?
None, unfortunately. Look, I had a client call me and say to me, I only saw my family in December, and he was lucky to have even gone and visited them for 2 weeks in December, January, with them obviously wanting to come through at the beginning of this year, but we've put applications in and that's just ground to a halt. I don't know. And, I realize that families, and everybody realizes that families are separated. You've only got the main applicant here working, and the rest, like the kids and the wife or husband, maybe still in South Africa stuck. And there's just been nothing, no communication around that. So we don't know. We really don't know.
That could mean a lot of the businesses doesn't get workers over the season that they need now.
You're talking about the seasonal workers?
Seasonal workers, or are they coming in?
No, they are not coming in. So that's why they're asking all those working holiday visa holders and maybe those on visitor visas to actually change their visas to be able to work on these farms and so on, to be able to do that work. So I think the last conversation we had was coming through, and you could change your visa to pick up some work on that.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think the visas will go until June of next year. So just be aware that, and it's seasonal work, all right? So you could do that. I know the biggest thing that was announced was the expression of interest pool for the skilled migrant category being deferred for another
6 months.
As well as the parent category. Like, I feel the parent category has died a death pretty much, because that was supposed to open in May with the first 1,000 spaces for the parents coming in, and being allocated. And that's been pushed out again. So, okay, the feeling in the community, and again, this is my opinion, is that with the expression of interests, I know there's probably about 4,000 or more people sitting in that pool waiting for the drawers to open. Reality is immigration is not going to open that pool and pull out 4,000, 5,000 applications from there. And those are people that have met the 160 mark, with points or more, met the median wage as well, and met all the criteria, okay? Immigration have obviously deferred it, and I'll give you some numbers, and this is where, I'll give you the documents so that you can post that onto your website, okay? The residence program that was set, and this is the previous residence program, 18 months, ended in December 2019, was set between 50 and 60,000 spaces being allocated to residents, for residents, okay, under the skilled migrant category, work to residents, and so on. And it also includes family and so on. Immigration met about 85,000 or provided 85,000 spaces. And just remember, it's set at 50 to 60,000. Okay, so they exceeded that, okay? Now, with the new program that was supposed to be set on the 1st of January 2020, it wasn't set. And again, it would have been set for 18 months, taking us to June 2021, end of June 2021. And again, it would have been possibly 50 to 60,000. And immigration has said they're working on the past program.
Okay.
They've allocated.
This is not per year. This is for 18-month period.
It's an 18-month period. They reduced it from 24 to 18 months. So I'll tell you what they're sitting on right now with the residents that they've allocated, 32,000. So if you look at 85 and 32 and you add that up, that's almost reaching that 120. If you add both years, or the 36 months, they've almost reached their 60K mark, and that's maximum 60K providing spaces. This is probably why they've slowed down everything drastically, because they've allocated a lot of spaces and they've exceeded that.
That's right. They're way above the target.
They're way above their target. So right now they say they're processing until March 2019. And I think that they've just got a few more spaces left to allocate, and they will stop. And they will only announce, they've told us that they will announce between end of March 2021, end of April, the new program or what they're going to be doing, okay? And just think of it, okay, the next 18 months will kick in on the 1st of July 2021. that's when they'll start allocating new spaces. So those people that are sitting there that have already been selected and sitting there waiting for a case officer, expect to be waiting until that time. Okay.
Goodness me. So the guys that have received residence now is actually quite lucky.
Exactly. They are very lucky. They're done and dusted, thankfully. And when I looked at the stats, India is the highest amount of people that have been allocated residence, and very closely behind is South Africa. So there's a lot of South Africans that have been, been granted residence and so on. Okay.
All right.
So, so you are looking at sitting there. And so if you've got visas that need to, temporary visas, work visas and so on that need to be redone, start putting money aside for all of that and the costs for all of that as well. Okay, because residence is not going to be granted until maybe July, when they're going to start everything up again.
That's
right? Yeah.
That's pathetic, eh?
It is, but an email that was sent out to advisors last week, Monday, said that doesn't mean to say you are eligible for it. That means you will be granted. The immigration actually said residence is a privilege, not a right. Okay.
Right.
So just remember with the priority as well, it's the high income earners, which is 106K and above, and the occupational registration. So if you don't fall in that category, expect to be waiting 18 to 24 months before things start going your way.
Yeah. I would suggest, actually, I would hope that immigration can play open cards with us regarding this. I mean, this would be much easier for people waiting there, because they're not waiting with a blind hope that something will happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
To be honest, you know what? They've actually taken away the ability from us as advisors to be able to advise clearly, that it's black and white, because right now with the skilled migrant category and the way it is, I don't feel comfortable being able to say, this is exactly what the process is. This is the exact pathway. I don't feel comfortable doing that. So they've taken away that ability, and with all their communication, or most of their communication to us, it's very gray. So it's open to interpretation. You don't know exactly what they mean. If they're saying, look, we're closing it, tell us we're closing it, tell us don't put anything in the EOI pool anymore. Tell us that. Don't leave that pool open with people putting things in, and you're looking at 4,000 or 5,000 people sitting in there, we knowing that they're not going to be opening that up to those people,
The building hope where there's not hope.
Look, I think a lot has changed, and this is not even with COVID. This is before COVID. A lot's changed, and a lot will change. It's just the way it is. Like a good example is automatic extensions. If you remember, they announced that partners and dependent children were going to get automatic extensions, just like the work or the main applicant, the work visa holders. So they got the additional 6 months. Immigration have broken their system pretty much. So what's happened is, and I'll tell you why they've literally broken their system. So they've put their partners in and their dependent children into this category, okay? And they've done automatic extensions for some of them, and some of these people have got emails, but a lot have not got those emails. So they've actually had to do them manually, and they're doing those applications manually. Okay. So what's happened is, so like an example is, I had a client whose visa expired yesterday, and they were eligible for that automatic extension. They kept calling immigration saying, when are we going to get the email saying we're extended automatically? And immigration said, we have to do it manually. And guess what? They did not do it manually. So come at the end of the day yesterday, they would have become effectively unlawful. When you call immigration, sorry, Jan? Exactly. Yeah. But when you call immigration, they say technically they're not unlawful because they're eligible and we'll backdate this. However, they cannot work. And when we go back to basics and what an employer needs to have and a school system needs to have is, those people need to have valid visas to be working or to be at school. And if they don't have a valid visa, you can't say technically I'm lawful because we don't have anything in place. So yeah, it's actually a broken system right now. And Jan, we are the only country in the world that have done these automatic extensions and these freebies and this goodwill to our migrants and the people onshore, that shouldn't be here onshore. Everybody else has not done it. Australia's not done it. Canada's not done it. I don't know about the UK and the US. Okay, so we've actually, while we wanted to give them goodwill, we've actually made it worse in a way.
That's sad. I see there's a few comments. Let's see if we can get anybody there. A lot of people saying hello.
Hi.
Hello to everybody. Question here was, how does this affect work to residents?
So thankfully, work to residents and immigration know the numbers, okay? They know that the people that are on work to residents will go to residents from work, and they know those numbers. And that is still open, and they are still accepting applications for processing. If you fall in that priority queue, you're looking at a case officer between 2 to 3 weeks, and that's pretty good. Okay, it's just the skilled migrant category, the points tested system, that's shut, and that's where we really cannot advise on that.
All right. Other question they ask here: what about the accredited employer work to resident visa onshore? That's basically what you answered just now.
Yes. Yeah. All onshore is being done. Offshore, forget about it, even with residents not being processed at all.
So there's no chance for anybody that's sitting back in South Africa, India, wherever, to apply for a position and get it.
Apply for a position, even if they've got a job, they meet the points and so on. No, it's not. It's actually on hold or not being processed at all.
You are an immigration advisor in Australia as well.
Yes.
What's the situation looking like there?
Look, they are still processing applications. Australia, 2 weeks ago, they announced their migration planning for the 2020-2021. They have reduced the skilled categories and employer-sponsored categories by about between 25 and 61%. So their numbers have decreased. So they're not going to be taking a lot of people in there. What they are looking for is global talent, and that's the highly skilled people, as well as the business investors. And that would be with any country in the world. They need to stimulate economies now with the whole COVID issue. So they are looking a lot for business investors and only highly skilled. People with mid-skills and low-skilled, very low chance of actually coming or going into the country.
Question that came in, I've got it on the screen as well. Sorry, that was the wrong one. Let me get the right question there. What about those people already in the pool? Will INZ still process that application?
No, you're in the pool. You're in the pool and your application won't expire until the draws reopen. The draws have been suspended. INZ will not process anything. They've shut everything until next year, 6 months. So about March or so, March, April is when they'll announce exactly what they're going to do. So Jan, my opinion is they are going to revamp that entire system, and it's not going to look like the way it looks like right now.
I've also got that feeling that there's busy with something big behind.
Look, if you look at it, they've always been on track with scrapping the visa categories, creating one visa application, also having employers do accreditation and so on to employ migrants. And they're still working through that. So with them scrapping everything and so on, yes, they are going to revamp that entire skilled migrant category, the way the points are allocated and so on. They won't. They'll still have a stream, and they have said they will still have a stream that is points tested the way it is, but how that will look will obviously change.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bring that question back up to the screen. If your 3-year work visa expire, will you be able to renew for another 3 years while you are in the expression of interest pool?
So eliminate your latter part about the EOI pool. You will have to meet the criteria again to renew your 3-year work visa. And that's obviously, a case by case and up to the employer and so on. And a lot is to do with the labor market testing and so on. So if your labor market testing is going to fail, then that 3-year work visa may not be extended. So just one thing though, people that are sitting in the pool have paid $530 to actually put the expression of interest in. We don't know whether all that's going to be scrapped, whether there's going to be a refund, or people are going to be start being selected next year after the 6-month deferral. We're not too sure how that's going to work.
Okay. I think we've basically answered this question. What about those people already in the pool? Will INZ still process that application?
No, because just remember, a pool is just a pool. It's like a lottery. They will give you an invitation, okay? When they give you an invitation to apply, that's when you get selected. Right now, you are just sitting in this lottery, waiting for an invitation.
What about grandparents' applications? Come from Caroline and Yuri Gous.
When you talk about grandparent applications, I don't know whether you're talking about grandparent visitor or the grandparent visitor visa, or whether you're talking about the parent visa, resident visa category, because that's been shut again, deferred again for the next 6 months as well. So I don't know exactly what that question is.
I've got can you confirm if we are on work to residence, we can apply now and not fall in the long queue? How long will this take?
Well, you've got to wait 24 months to apply. If you don't meet the priority processing, which is the high remuneration or high, occupational registration, you will fall in that long queue.
So
there's no way around it. Because if you remember, we spoke about the spaces and the allocation of spaces and so on, and what the residence program was set at. And if you look at the numbers already being processed, they've already hit their targets. So yeah, long queue. Sorry, guys.
Very interesting question, this next one. Do you think the parent visa will be restructured again?
I'm presuming a lot of people were talking about, and I think because the government sort of committed to saying that the remuneration is quite high, and they want to restructure that and put it into a more a better sort of achievable bracket. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I can't really comment, because the parent category, to be honest, they're older people and they don't contribute to the economy. They really come here to support their children and so on. And that's the way they offer their services to the contribution to the community, or the economy, I should say. So to be honest, it is the bottom of the priority list. It's not a contributing category to the economy. So if you look at it right now, the whole world needs investors. We need people that can contribute to grow. And if you look at it, I don't know whether they'll allow that. And we know these parents are aging. They put a lot of, the parent category, unfortunately, puts a lot of stress on the health sector, with the health needs and so on. So reality is it's not something that it's a priority for immigration.
How much money do you need to become an investor?
So don't look at the entrepreneur work visa, because that really is buying a business and so on. Minimum 3.5 million.
And that is New Zealand dollars, not South African rand, New Zealand dollars.
And it's points tested. Yeah, and it's points tested, and you obviously get points based on how much money you're bringing in, your age, your contribution, and so on to the economy and so on. And obviously, it's a small sector of people that can bring that money in. If you have 10 million New Zealand dollars, then you're literally buying your way in. It's not points tested. You just need to pass English and so on, and you'll be able to get in.
Question here: we are on a 3-year skilled work visa, only been here 7 months. Are we still safe?
I don't know, because the most important thing is, and I tell this to all my clients, is you must have a pathway to residence. If you came in with no pathway to residence, if you're stuck in Auckland, you've got no qualifications, you're over the age, where and as you're getting older, your points are dropping, then you're in trouble. So if you already have a pathway, you've got the things in place. So say, for instance, if you've got 160 points, I'm telling my clients to work on a buffer of 180 points now.
Okay.
because if that pool opens, look, a lot of people are achieving the 160. One way of them revamping that is to increase the points. Also, I'll talk about the medium wage soon. So if you don't have that buffer, then you may possibly be in trouble. And as you age, and if you hit that next age category, you're in trouble again.
All right. I just want to say, if there's any of these questions that we don't get to, Benita, will you please have a look through them? And
I'll go through it and I'll answer it. No problem. No problem. I will do that.
Interesting question. If my company pays me $36 per hour and increase my hours to 44 hours per week and they accredit it, can I change from essential to work to residence visa?
Well, for instance, your company needs to be accredited to be able to change that. $36 an hour based on 44 hours. I don't know what that works out to be because the general rule is a 40-hour week, not a 44-hour week. So,
right.
Sorry. So you're saying, no, I know what you're saying. The general rule, the base is 40 hours a week. Okay, so you're saying 44 hours a week at $36. So you're trying to push that salary up. No, the base is 40 hours a week. Okay. So, yeah.
Even if I've got 60 hours a week, it's not going to change anything.
So if you work 60 hours a week at $36, yes, you're going to, in other words, maybe that's pushing it up to that 79, 80,000 mark. Maybe that's what you're looking at. But the base is that, so the immigration always goes on the base. They don't really go on the hours saying, okay, now you're working 60 hours a week and you're earning 106,000. So now you're a high income earner. That's not the way it works.
On that income, you'd be earning 82,000.
Yeah, exactly. Is it 82,000 on 44 hours? So if you bring that down to 40 hours, what would that be? I don't know.
Yeah, we could then fall short again.
Yeah, you would fall short. So, okay, so that's a base.
Any changes to applying for permanent resident visa after being on residence for 2 years?
No, there wouldn't be because you've already been granted residence. The only way your residence can be taken away is if you're convicted, if you've got residence through misleading circumstances and so on, and that is known to happen. But there's no changes with permanent residence or anything like that.
All right. What are the chances of LTSS visas being issued? I don't understand.
So right now, that category, long-term skills shortage list, is still available. Okay. If you are eligible for it, yes, you can apply for it and you should be granted that. And then obviously you work the 24 months before you apply for residence. But once that goes, that's gone. Okay, it's only, and those people that have it will be eligible in the future, but the new people may not be eligible. Just coming back, to that, Statistics New Zealand have announced, or they've published in August, that the median wage is looking at like $27 an hour. Okay, right now the median wage is set at $25.50 an hour. So it is quite likely that the skilled migrant category will change their, and this will be in November, maybe it will be announced, that it is likely that it will increase to $27 an hour. So if you're on the pool on $25.50, you're in trouble because you may need to withdraw your application and get $27 an hour. For those people that are looking for 3-year work visas, you may be looking at reaching $27 an hour, not $25.50. Okay, that is to be announced, but Statistics New Zealand has already done that work. Okay.
Well, we're nearly down to our last questions. We'll be able to apply for residency in June 2021. Work to residence, accredited employer. Are we okay?
Okay, so I'll go back. Work to residence has not been affected. Immigration are still accepting applications. It's a skilled migrant category, points tested. If you're on essential skills work visa, that's the ones that are affected.
All right. We've got about 1 minute before closing. Any wise words to people out there?
Look, nothing's going to change next year. It's probably just going to get a little bit worse. Okay, those people that are waiting for residence to be processed or on work visas and so on need to make plans to make sure that they have money in place to apply for new work visas and so on. If you are expecting your automatic extensions for dependent children and partners, And if it's going to be done manually, I would say to please make sure you keep contacting INZ to ask them when these are done, because a lot of people are now going into that unlawful status, and schools may not necessarily take a person, without a visa, and your employer may not necessarily take you, the next day once you go into that unlawful status. Okay. I know immigration are saying they will backdate it, but don't ask me when they don't have an ETA, because as I said, they broke their system. So we don't have an ETA on that.
All right. Benita, thank you very much.
No worries.
I hope we haven't stirred up the hornet's nest, as they say. So,
look, it's going to be tough times ahead for everybody, and you need to take care of yourself and your family. And if you've never had a pathway, then maybe you should rethink about what you need to do and whether it's worth, continuing, or probably looking at going back, when you need to go back.
yeah.
And I know it's a tough thing because a lot of South Africans say they can't go back. But hopefully a lot of them would have had a pathway or have a pathway in place. Okay.
Well, the big thing is if you are here, you're already way better off than back in South Africa.
That is right. But, if there's no pathway here, look at places like Canada that are still taking people, maybe even Australia that may look at, the regional sections of Australia as well. But Australia is clamping down as well.
Okay. Can you help with Canada as well?
I've got a colleague that I work with that helps with Canada, and Canada's not closed at all. They're very open to migrants and so on.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people feel they need to get out of South Africa. I fully understand that.
I think, the options are look at Canada before you look at New Zealand, because they're still open and they're still taking people.
All right.
And they're still processing.
Thanks a lot.
No worries. Thank you very much, Jan.
Okay, thanks. I'll speak to you now.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Oh, that was Benita Herbens from A to NZ Immigration. So if you are in New Zealand, I think, and you want to stay here, you've got to make sure that you're doing it right. You've got to make sure that you have all the right things in place. And probably best to speak to somebody like Benita. All right, guys and girls, that was 30 minutes with Jan. And I've got to say love you and leave you. And to those in New Zealand, you've got to go to work this morning. See you all. Bye-bye.